Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Tehillim Treasures, where we will plumb the beautiful depths and treasures of Tehillim from the very beginning of Tehillim to the end of David HaMelech's masterpiece. This episode is brought to you by Chazaq. Chazaq is an organization that helps public school children become Shomrei Torah mitzvahs, exposes them to the beauty of Torah and mitzvahs. Imagine for a moment you're standing in a store or you're walking down the street. You know the neighbor. You've known them for many years. You see their children riding their bike in the driveway. And you know they're Jewish. But now there's someone who can help them take the next step. And that is Chazaq, with countless programs after school and other wonderful programs to help expose them to the beauty of Yiddishkeit. If you know someone or know someone that knows someone that can help these children, then please email at psty@chazaq.org. This episode is also brought to you by Chickens for Shabbos. Chickens for Shabbos is exactly what it says it is, plus more. There are many people. There are Melamdim's children. There are Agunis. There are Grushis. There are families that do not have simple essentials for Shabbos and for life. Whatever they need, Chickens for Shabbos is there to provide. Please do your utmost to help in any way you can. We now continue with chapter Kuf Lamed Zayin and Kuf Lamed Ches 137 and 138 as we continue to come towards the end of Sefer Tehillim in our magnificent series of Tehillim Treasures. Anyone who's ever been in camp has heard that song. If you haven't been in camp, you might not have heard the song, but it's a song that they sing during the 9 days. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat and we wept when we remembered. And on weekdays, especially during the 9 days, we say this kapitel of Al Nar's Bavel. Shir HaMalos is reserved for the events of Simcha and for Shabbos and Yom Tov, and Al Nar's Bavel for the weekdays. And Rav Shimshon Pincus says that the Jews in Bavel did not cry for their own sorrows. Why did they cry? They cried yearning for Yerushalayim. This is central to understanding how we are meant to process the pain. If you have a tzara and you stub your toe, relatively small problem, and you cry out for your own pain, okay, it's understandable. But if you cry out for Hashem's pain, you've channeled your pain to feel Hashem's pain, it's an unbelievable amount of accomplishment through that cry. Normally, we look at it in the opposite way. When we think of the destruction of Beis HaMikdash and we want to feel the pain, we think of our own pain. That's how we relate to the Churban Beis HaMikdash. But here we're saying differently. Take our own pain and realize it comes from the Beis HaMikdash. Who can imagine yearning for the Beis HaMikdash so much so that we're crying for it? And this is something that is precious, something that we all have to realize, something that will make a huge difference not only in our lives, but in the lives of the Jewish people until Mashiach arrives. There was one young man who lost both of his parents in a period of 9 months. He bounced from home to home and school to school. Nothing was going right. One couple eventually invited him into their home, but there were rules and regulations. But he knew it came with love, and so he was willing to try. When he turned 16, he got his driver's license, and he did not wait for long to ask for a drive. Well, he asked his adoptive mother if he could borrow the car. Although she was nervous, she wanted to show him that she trusts him. And she handed him the keys and said, "Be back by 10. The boy went out and he had a good time. He wasn't back by 10. He wasn't back by 11. At 12 o'clock, he slipped through the door. He was hoping she went to sleep already and he'd be able to sneak inside. His adoptive mother was sitting there. And she was waiting. And she was very, very, very upset. She told him, I trusted you. You broke the trust. And she was worried maybe something tragic happened. He had never received such mussar in his life. And he was very embarrassed and he apologized. Soon enough, he finished and he went back upstairs. And as he's going upstairs, he realized that he was very hungry. And so he waited a little bit to make sure that his adoptive mother was not there. And he went down to the kitchen. When he walked into the kitchen, he was shocked to discover she was still there. She was crying. Years passed. It was the night before his wedding, and his relationship with his adoptive parents was closer than ever. They had bought him and his Kala everything they needed to start their lives. They were walking him down to the chuppah. He decided he was going to write them a letter, and he put pen to paper and he wrote from his heart. And he thanked them for everything that they gave him, for the home and the food and the money, and the car, but most of all for the love. And then he said, but I especially want to thank you for the following. When I was 16 years old, I came back 2 hours late. I never knew how much you cared about me until that night when you gave me mussar. When you were upset that I had come back because you worried, because you loved me. At times, sometimes we suffer greatly. But we have to remember that when we are disappointing our Father in heaven, He is crying. And we have to realize that our pain is His pain, and vice versa. And when we do, the sooner we're able to feel His pain, the sooner Mashiach will arrive. We move on to Kapitel Kuf Lamed Ches. Oidcha b'chol libi neged Elokim azamerka. And in the 138th parak of Tehillim, we begin with those words. David, I will acknowledge you with all my heart, David says, in the presence of princes I will sing to you. Elokim is not really Elokim, it's Elohim. It's talking about the princes that exist in this world. And David says when he stands before the rulers of the world, he will sing out in praise to the greatest ruler of all. Neged Elohim azamerka. But there's another way to understand the pasuk. Neged, says the Sefer Drashos Tehillim, is even when Hashem appears to be against me, I will still sing His praise. Even when it's Elohim, it's Midas Adin, and it appears that Hashem is picking on me, and He's upset with me, and He's giving me a hard time, and He's punishing me, I will still sing out. We all remember that in 2015 there was a fire that destroyed the Sassoon home, killing 7 of the 8 children. It's one of the most horrific stories of our lifetime. The next day, many hundreds of people gathered to pay their last respects to these 7 angels of mercy. And it's hard to imagine 7 small caskets. My Levaya, those that were there will never forget it. In fact, some said it's like the Holocaust. These things only happened in the Holocaust. No amount of tears could ever process the tragedy of that event. But a person needs to realize that when we stand in the face of Elohim, when we stand in the face of Hashem, Elohim meaning Midas Hadin, we have to know that Hashem means it for our good, even if it's neged. And so, to get through the pain, you need to take anesthesia. How? What's the cocktail of drugs that we take? A little bit of emunah, some bitachon, some avas Hashem. Make yourself a cocktail to numb the pain. Karl Marx once said that religion is the opioid of the masses. And I saw this in the Michtam Eliyahu, and the Michtam Eliyahu said, Havas, so what? What's wrong with having religion as the opium? Religion is that which allows us to embrace Hashem and to be able to dull the pain which otherwise seems to be impossible. The song of Emunah heals. It soothes. It calms. And therefore, if we're able to process this, able to realize that every time it's neged alekim, every time Hashem midas hadin gives us a neged, gives us the opposite, then we'll be able to continue to sing out. We say in davening, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. We should place Hashem lenegdi samid, opposite me always. Even when Hashem is opposite me, place Him in front of your eyes, because He's our salvation. He's the one that's there for us. He's the one that lives and loves us and lives inside of us. The sooner we realize that, the better off we'll be. And when we're able to process that properly, we'll be able to sing out to Hashem forever. Until next time, sei gesund.